Driving into the Bears Ears National Monument from Bluff is like driving back through time.
We are in the mid-latitudes now here in Utah and in a desert, and this would have looked very different 300 million years ago. You would have had a beach and an ocean just to the west of here. So it's kind of weird to think about Utah being beachfront property. Two time intervals are particularly well represented by fossils from Bears Ears National Monument. The late Triassic period, which is the very beginning of the age of dinosaurs, that's around 210 million years ago. And then all the way back about 300 million years ago, what we call the Carboniferous Permian transition, when Earth was still in a big ice age.
It's not the full frond, it's just one of those little side leaflets.
These rocks preserve what's going on near the equator during this ice age, so we can see how changes in glaciers and amount of ice are affecting sea level and ultimately affecting the environments that are at the equator, on land, and in shallow oceans. In a time when we're so worried about global change, when we can look back into the rock record and understand how ecosystems in the past have evolved with changes like global climate, whether it's global warming or cooling, sea level rise, sea level fall, that's a really powerful way to understand where we might be going in our world.
So we want to understand what happened to life on Earth when that last ice house collapsed and what the effect was for terrestrial life.
One of the things that we're interested in out here is looking at vertebrate change through this sequence as we sort of move from these red beds and into the drier dune facies of the Cedar Mesa. So we have lots of vertebrate sites sort of in the lower areas of Valley of the Gods, and these sort of represent sort of the early communities on land. We have lots of aquatic elements as well, fishes, even freshwater sharks that are some of the more common fossils that we have out here. And then higher up in the Cedar Mesa, we start to see more terrestrial animals.
About 300 million years ago, Utah was actually situated over the equator. So all the animal life that would have lived here would have essentially been tropical life. And at the start of this transition, the biota was fairly aquatic. As the Ice Age progressed, conditions became much more arid in the western part of the continent, and you start to get these aquatic habitats replaced by more terrestrial animals.
We have to do a lot of hiking around to look for new sites and new fossils. And once we have permission to collect those fossils and bring them back to the museum, we might spend anywhere from a couple hours to a couple of weeks extracting that fossil.
So this is a site in the lower Cutler beds called the Platyhestrix Pocket. Plant fossils usually occur as these impressions in these channel sandstones. And here you can see I have a large horsetail, which has these sort of characteristic nodes that form these little segments that run along the stem here. I'm sitting on top of a large stream channel that has lots of disaggregated plants and vertebrate fossils, including isolated bones. And this is really the most frequent mode of preservation we find for vertebrate fossils in this area. They tend to occur as isolated bones, usually limb bones, jaws, vertebrae. This is a single small vertebra that was collected by one of our crew members just a few minutes ago.
Bears Ears National Monument is a protected area, which means a scientific research permit is required to collect any type of fossil out here. And one of the key aspects of the work that we're doing is that the few fossils that we do collect and bring back to the museum, they are held in public trust for all citizens of the United States in that museum. They're not owned by the museum, they are owned by all of us.
You need to sample multiple sites through time and identify the animals that were living there. So when we collect them, we will usually bring them to the lab and prepare them using pneumatic tools, which will help to reveal their anatomy, and that helps us to diagnose them so we can understand better what species are living there. We can look at relative abundances. Did you have mostly aquatic animals? Did you have mostly terrestrial animals? And we can look at how those communities are changing through time.
Recently, and I think he said that his
One of the most exciting things about paleontology these days is the new ways in which we can look at fossils. Things like CAT scanning, where we can digitally look inside of a fossil in 3 dimensions using X-rays, and we don't have to do anything that might be destructive to that fossil.
One of the things we're interested in is looking at biotic change across this climatic transition. What we don't have are good dates on these rocks. We don't actually know how much time is encompassed by the Cutler Group here in southern Utah.
We can look at the chemistry of the rocks in many different ways. We can look at stable isotopes of sort of limestone nodules from fossil soils that tell us about the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Different types of elements and their abundance actually tell us about how hot or cold or wet or dry it was. And actually some of the magnetic properties of the rocks themselves also can tell us about how wet or dry the sediment was when it was laid down.
So is this biotic change that we're seeing happening over 10,000 years? Is it happening over 100,000 years? Is it happening over a couple million years? Establishing those dates is going to help to give us better baselines for knowing how animals respond to climate change without the intervention of humans.